All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany, and I'll be presenting my research on the perceptions of dissociative identity disorder. So this is an overview of the presentation, initially starting with an introduction about DID and the background, then shifting into the research that I conducted. In conclusion, we will discuss the differences in the study that I completed and the study that was inspired that was done 24 years ago. For an introduction, we're going to define DID. First, we need dissociation. It's the beginning levels of sensory and emotional fragmentation of experience up to containing traumatic memories within distinct ego states that occurs on a spectrum. DID is further defined as the disruption of normal consciousness, memory, identity, and behavior with the presence of two or more distinct identity states. I just want to take some time, and some of the topics of this presentation can be distressing for some individuals. There's staff on site to assist you, and please feel free to take care of yourself by monitoring your own reactions, get up and move as much as you need to. So I'm also an undergraduate student. This topic is constantly developing, so this is just a snapshot of the 1.5 years that we were kind of going into this. So the information on the slideshow should not replace therapy, receiving help for distressing symptoms. Please speak to a professional. I'm also nervous. This is a controversial topic, so it'll be uncomfortable at times, and most science is uncomfortable. It's new ideas, and that's how we inspire change. So we're going to get into those polarizing topics. We have the validity, etiology, which is how it develops, criteria, symptoms, stereotypes, and stigmatization. There's also questions around the treatment of the disorder and how prevalent it is. There are many links and beliefs due to the rise in social media popularity, notably in 2020. And finally, one belief is that there are increases in self-diagnosis and the potential of social contagion. All of these topics are polarizing, not only within the professional fields, but within the general public as well. First is the clinical overview. DID is estimated that of the world population, 1.1% to 3% met criteria for DID. Within North America, there's a previous estimate of 5% to 10%. These estimates are from 2006 and 1994. We're missing the true prevalence rates of the introduction of social media spaces and how we're doing currently. To note the differences in these percentages on the side there, it could be due to geographical location, as well as the increased complexity of diagnosing. This complexity leads to overdiagnosis, underdiagnosis, and an overall under-investigated disorder. One belief was that given a reluctance for clients to participate in research due to the stigmatization and fear, that's impacting the prevalence rates. Additionally, DID shares similarities to schizophrenia, bipolar, and borderline that can be very difficult to understand and diagnose in a client. Now, more on the overview of the client experiences. Conditioning not to tell of the trauma increases fear and a bit more of a worry within the diagnostic interview. A patient could experience minimization to be perceived as less vulnerable. There's also self-denial, shame, potentially threats from perpetrators, and or experiences of being disbelieved that could be contributed. In a previous study by Husted in the year 2000, Husted explored the polarization within the prevalence rates between community mental health and private practitioners across the US. There were 92 people who responded, and of those, 52% believed that DID was overdiagnosed. The next polarizing topic in how does DID actually develop within clients? There are two models that I will define for us today. The post-traumatic model that describes DID as a defense mechanism at which self-states were created through severe abuse in childhood. Another model that exists is the sociocognitive. This is described as self-states that are due to influence of media portrayals of DID, as well as created through socio-cultural expectations. To gain further context, in the year 2007, a study found that 137 clinical psychologists surveyed, and 75% favored the post-traumatic model, and 4% supported the sociocognitive model. What is interesting to me is that 17% reported that they were unsure of the model that they supported. Along the lines of sociocognitive model, there exists a concept of imitative or fictitious DID. In a study completed in 1999, Dreyer and Boone explored that it was very difficult to tell simulated DID from genuine DID. This was especially within cases of representations of histrionic personality disorder and hysterical types. Histrionic is characterized by a pervasive pattern of attention-seeking behaviors and a theatrical level of emotional reactions. Hysteria is also defined as attention-seeking behavior. As an opposing view, an exploratory study defined pseudo-hysteria that is used to donate a situation where genuine psychiatric disorders such as DID is perceived as a hysterical production. Rieslinger and Gleaves explored the stigmatization of DID compared to schizophrenia and depressive disorders in college students from Austria. 139 participants from the general population responded to an adapted version of the prejudice towards people with mental illness. That was a scale that was given to them. The survey results corresponded with a negative stigmatization of DID compared to other disorders. In a 2023 explorative study, Haltigan defined the term transdiagnostic phenomenon. That's the trend for child and adolescent users that claim an impairment that is inconsistent with psychiatric classifications. One community that was of special interest that concerned DID was the plurals community. As Haltigan defined, it referred to a group of individuals who identify as having DID. In some cases, individuals have also created their own psychiatric criteria of the disorder. This is a concern for children and adolescent users who claim to self-diagnose with DID. So this can be uncomfortable to some within the community, so bear with me, it will all link together here soon. So it should be noted that there's a different side to the communities created around the context of DID. One such community is a nonprofit called the Plural Association. It was founded within the Netherlands. Just last year, there was quite a controversy that was discussed across all social media sites. This was the McLean Hospital lecture and live stream upon DID and links to social media. It's very important to note that during this study, videos of creators with overt presentations, meaning that you can see the changes within self states physically, was used without their consent. The Plural Association has led a petition that calls for the accountability for harm for those in the video that were depicted as the differences in overt presentations. Links to social media use and other claims were within that presentation. The petition also calls for ethical considerations to be placed on researchers with various experience levels. The Plural Association has also responded to the claims made by other organizations. The petition was initiated on March 26th of this last year. So misinformation is widespread across many sources where we consume concepts, ideas, and beliefs. One such factor is within the film industry. In a study exploring the film industry from the past 25 years, it was found that there is a stigmatization for DID. The stigmatization contributes to the general public's perception of the mental illness And within those studied, half of the selected films presented with the character with DID to be completely overtaken by his or her extreme alternate identities, which often engage in violent and aggressive tendencies. It might go without saying, but the presentation of a violent and aggressive tendencies is not accurate. The International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, ISSTD, was found in 2011 that less than 5% of individuals diagnosed with DID express themselves with different presentations and behaviors compared to the popular stereotype. Due to this study being published in 2011, it would be advisable to replicate to get an accurate pulse. So with all of that concepts and background that I've mentioned, let's shift to the common day and the study that I completed starting this spring. My attempt for this research would be to gain accurate statistics of the perceptions and attitudes of mental health employees, clinical employees, and university students. My hypothesis was that acceptance, uncertainty, or lack of acceptance of DID has a significant relationship to variables within the mental health medical professionals as well as university students. So here are the variables tested within each population, and we will go through each one today. So first, the participant criteria. Each must be over the age of 18, either enrolled or a graduate of a university program, and residing in the US. The recruitment strategies utilized various social media sites specific for university students, and the email was shared to every enrolled student. For professionals in the mental health care field, an email was also distributed through a listserv group across Alaska. Within one location, a flyer was posted in an employee break room and common areas. The data was collected through an anonymous survey which utilized Microsoft Forms. The survey questions were adapted from a previous study by Husted in 2000. So I received 92 responses, 39 which were solely working at mental health in medical locations, 23 who were both medical students and professionals, 26 who were solely university students. It should be noted that 2 individuals did not meet participant criteria, and 2 initiated the survey and did not complete the questions. So we had 61 professionals in total combined to make our first population for comparison. 21% were working within the field for 1 to 5 years so far. A significant relationship was found between the length of time in the field as well as the belief in the existence of DID. Within the exact same population, 73% were reporting working with 20 or more clients who were sexually abused. There was no significant relationship with those individuals in that experience and the belief in existence of DID. Again, with the same population, 78% reported working with 20 or more clients who were physically abused and neglected. There was a significant relationship between that experience and the belief in the existence of DID. Within the same population, 81% report working with 20 or more clients who were experiencing PTSD or other psychological reactions to trauma. In this case, there was a significant relationship with the belief in existence of DID. Within our population of professionals, 87% had an experience with a client who had a memory recall of past trauma. Of those 53 respondents, 79% accepted the existence of DID, and 21% were uncertain. Within our population of professionals, 41% of individuals were first introduced to DID through media sources. There was a significant relationship found between the initial encounter type and the existence with DID. Of our group of professionals, again, 31% were knowledgeable about the controversy concerning the prevalence and validity of DID. A significant relationship was also found compared to the existence of DID. I received 26 responses from students. Within our population of students, 41% of individuals were first introduced to DID through media sources. There was a significant relationship found between the initial encounter type and the existence of DID, similar to that of the professionals. Of our group of students, 80% were knowledgeable about the controversy about the prevalence and validity of DID. A significant relationship was also found within that and the existence of DID. So as our discussion, our findings were completely opposite to the previous study conducted in 2000. In Houston's study, with 92% participants, 52% believe that DID was overdiagnosed. Overall, with our 92 responses, 37% believe that DID was underdiagnosed, 24% accepted the current prevalence rates, 24% also believed in DID and that it is overdiagnosed, 5% believe DID is a result of effects of therapy, 3% indicated that DID does not exist and are based on an intentional reproduction of DID systems. Most students, mental health clinicians, and medical workers were introduced to DID through media sources. This may be due to the increase in popularity starting in 2020. It's also important to note that this increase may be due to a culturally driven component with the rise of DID-friendly communities. So in conclusion, most of the respondents indicated that they believe DID exists as a disorder. Out of our 92 participants, 37% believe that DID prevalence rates were underdiagnosed. Within the professionals that participated, there were a high number of cases with traumatic experiences. Both professionals and students indicated that they had a moderate knowledge regarding the debate between the current prevalence rates. So there are limitations to this study. The first limitation was that the participants were only questioned on their attitudes to the most severe spectrum of dissociation, which is DID. Second, the general population was excluded. Third is that due to the number of participants, there's a chance for a response bias. It could be a factor that only those who were interested in DID chose to participate. To aid in decreasing the limitations, there's a few recommendations for further research. The first is to broaden the questions to include those lower levels of dissociation. The second is to include the general public and make the study available internationally. The third is to increase the time that the survey was available and increase the efforts in recruitment outside of Alaska. So I sincerely thank and express my gratitude for so many of you all, to our audience members, both in person and online, to the research team and those who supported me, to those who completed the study, and those who shared the study across friends, family members, and coworkers. Here are my references for the entire study in case anyone's interested. So the first and the second page. And let's take a quick breath.